Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us get into it. We some lumberjacks, and we needing wood. Yeah, we going for the sweet, then we mop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up, 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 chop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up.
We're back. Not sure what day it is. Too much work in the forecast with all this crazy holidays and whatnot. I believe it's Wednesday night, and that means one thing here on the Chop and Block podcast. It's time for the NFL show hosted by Beast Kane. I'm going to throw it to him right away. Go ahead, Beast Kane.
The only way that you can open up this show is to talk about the benching of Russell Wilson. We're talking about a guy right now that has 66.4 completion rate, over 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, a 98% rating. What in the hell is going on? Why is Denver being so cold to Russ? What'd you say, Coach?
Well, I don't think it's Denver being so cold to him because Denver is already a cold city, literally. Then it is Sean Payton is cold. You know, I think what Russell Wilson was for Sean Payton coming back into coaching after coming off a commentary on TV, you know, which is another career. You know, you're out of coaching and you're into the booth and everything else and on TV. So, you know, you're talking about football at a different aspect and a different level, but then you're asked to come back when you still had the fire in you. And I believe what it is he did not want to come back and compete in the NFL with an unproven rookie or second year quarterback. So I think the Russell Wilson deal was, okay, I got a Super Bowl winning quarterback, you know, he knows the game, he knows coverages, you know, he's played the Saints before, he know how I ran it with Drew, you know, him and Drew were, you know, maybe good friends or whatever. And yeah, I'll get through the season with Russell, but I'm gonna be drafting a quarterback. And I think what it just boiled down to is Russell didn't come in and beg for the food bowl the way Drew Brees did. Russell came in being Russell. And that's not what Sean Payton really liked. Because you got to think about at the beginning of the season, you're talking about him kissing babies instead of being focused on football.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, you take Denver on a winning streak after getting totally embarrassed early in the season, giving up 70, which is right now the most points given up in the league this year. And even though you put them on a win streak, you lost your previous ball game by 3 points and you get benched. So I don't think it's Denver as much as it is Sean. And I think this is just a situation where John Lynch is just going to sit back and let the cards play out.
And what we haven't talked about, probably Dalton gonna probably get into it. It's a whole lot of money out there too, guys. Whole lot of money on this deal. What you got, Dalton?
Yeah, that's exactly right. A lot of money on this deal. And I think it's sad that, to me, what this shows is that the Denver Broncos have already said there's no way we're making the playoffs. Even though there is a chance for them to make the playoffs. But I just think it's one of those deals that's kind of unfortunate for Russell. It's unfortunate for the Broncos. But also, I mean, let's be honest. This is what happens when you start the season 0-5 or 1-5 or whatever it was. I mean, you put yourself in a hole early. You ran out the building a couple times early. It seems like there's some disconnect with Russell Wilson, and it seems like there was in Seattle too. We just never heard about it. But
Hmm.
I don't know what he hasn't played bad. Let's be honest. If he played this well on any other team, it'd probably be a different story. But I don't know. I think it's a weird thing. I wouldn't be shocked, Coach, now that you said it, if this is a trade scenario. Maybe he's
Hmm.
gone, or maybe they're going to draft somebody. I don't know. A lot of teams have been pretty high on Jared Stidham, so maybe he gets an opportunity, a real opportunity. But what happens if he goes in and wins out, and somehow the Broncos make the playoffs? Do you bring Russell back in, or do you start Jared Stidham?
You're not bringing Russ back.
Mm-mm.
It's
Russ
over.
is trade value. I mean, when I say trade value, there's no less than 6 teams out there right now that need a quarterback. Somebody will take Russell Wilson for the
Well,
Denver Broncos to move up in the draft, depending on where they finish. Because if they finish outside of the playoffs and they don't make it, which is slim for them right now, but if they don't make the playoffs, then they'll be drafting early. You trade Russell Wilson, and you can draft even earlier.
yeah, but one thing you're gonna have to remember though is you're gonna be have a whole lot of dead money.
Mm-hmm.
Remember this contract guys. It's probably something
Mm-hmm.
around like $80-90 million dead cap.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably what it's gonna be. One thing I read today is that the reason they benched him is because they said if he got hurt, they would be on the line for average about $40 million over the next 2 years if he got hurt. So it was better to go ahead and bench him and then deal with all the other dead stuff and try to move him. So they're definitely going to move Russ. No way you can do this to a guy like this.
But
Go ahead.
but on that, Barry, I would say, okay, yeah, if that's the case, I would say, yeah, that's a possibility. But, make that a possibility when our chances of making the playoffs is just dead, dead, dead. If we got a smidgen of a chance to make the playoffs, then if he gets hurt, that's part of football.
Right.
But until they say that the Denver Broncos chances of making the playoffs is 0.72%, that means you ain't making it, period.
Okay.
Then bench him.
So they got the Chargers,
That's a possible win.
and who else? And the Raiders, right? Guys, the Chiefs are 9-8, 9-6,
6.
and Denver Broncos, dude, are 7-8.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
mean,
still alive.
you know what I mean? But what I think is going on here, and you brought up a good point about Stidham winning out. What if Stidham does win out and make a little playoff push? What would that do to the fans? That's just enough time for them to get on the Stidham train. And then what are you going to do with the draft?
That's why they're banking on that trade. Trade 3.
Yeah. So look, man, this is fascinating stuff. This is almost as fascinating as what the Bears are going to do with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
These situations are a little bit similar without the friction between the coaches, but even Justin had some kind of thing going on with the coaches too. But the way I look at this, Coach, I just think that this is a very personal thing between. It's not really between Russ and Peyton. I think it's just from Peyton's standpoint. I think he set Russ. I think they wanted Russ to be his fall guy. We talked about this last week. We led with a slide on was he the Grinch that stole Christmas because of the way he talked to Russ during that last game. Dalton, you guys mentioned it. He's kind of been on him talking about the kissing babies thing, and he kind of been on him the whole year. And at this point, when you look at these numbers, that's a whole lot of teams that would love these numbers. On the offensive side, that's why, to me, This has very little, in my opinion, to do with football. I think that Sean Payton heard the noise last week, and everybody's saying, "How dare you treat a future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, a quarterback that you gave upwards of 200 and what, $30-40 million? Why would you do that? Even if you didn't want the guy, that's a way to go about it. Because if you treating this guy like this with no respect, emasculating him, if you will, what is the next locker room going to do with that? How are they going to view Russell Wilson? So you devalue.
Don't you think? I'm just looking at this from like a locker room standpoint, maybe even a coaching standpoint. When I was, coaching baseball, what this seems to me is when, you have this coach call you or, whatever, or somebody move in, and it's like, hey man, that guy, like, he won state somewhere else, or he was a big time player. You know what I'm saying? They hype you up before you even get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Sean Payton drank a little bit of that juice. Because think about it. Ever since he went to the Broncos, after the first year, that's when all these stories from the Seahawks started coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That he was just, people hated being around him. When he threw the interception to lose the Super Bowl, he said, "My bad, guys. I'll get them next time."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
Also,
come on, man. Like, Marshawn Lynch literally walked off the field. And I think Marshawn Lynch is probably one of the most truthful people ever in the NFL. And if he says that Russell Wilson, had all these problems and he didn't want to be around him, I believe it.
But you gotta remember though, or consider that Russell Wilson and Beast Mode are two totally different cats.
They are, but
Beast Mode,
from a leadership standpoint, is what he's judging him on. Think about this: Marshawn Lynch decided to not only quit football but leave the Seattle Seahawks in their prime to go play with Derek Carr.
Well, yeah, because but you got to remember though, that call was not Russell's call.
No, it's not.
I think Beast Mode was not just mad at Russ. He probably was mad at Russ because he kind of feel like some of us feel like, why don't you audible and say, hell no, I'm not running that play,
Well, I'm gonna give you a true story here before you move on me. But true story. State championship football game. We're on the 4-yard line. And I say, Coach Honeycutt, let me go score a touchdown. Now we're already winning big. And he says, Jonathan, and I'm like, come on, Coach. 4 years of running scout team tailback when I wasn't on the starting defense, and I can't get no good carry. I can't get no touchdown. He was like, son, you're making it hard. Before he got hard, boom, I shot out on the field. So I get in the huddle, and we got this freshman quarterback, Will Drew. And he gets to play from Coach Horn, and he says, no play on one. I said, we're running 26 power. He says, no play. I said, we're running 26 power. And then I hear him over there talking about, hurry up. I said, Will, we're running 26 power. Well, I'm whooping your ass in the locker room, and you're going to be the only one with a sore ass in a state championship at the same time. 26 power on one, ready, break. We broke the huddle. I scored a fucking touchdown. 1 carry, 4 yards, and a touchdown. Those were my high school tailback stats. But that's one time where I can say, Russell, if you got Marshawn Lynch, and I know I'm nowhere near Marshawn Lynch, and I made this quarterback change the play, I know you can make Russell Wilson change that play on the 2-yard line. I said, we're running this.
But see, I agree with you 100%. But let's consider the people. Russell Wilson gets a bad rap because he go with the flow.
Nice guy.
He does what he's told, right? We all know that there's no way that Russell called that play. That was a Pete Carroll thing. And I honestly believe they were trying to keep Marshawn Lynch from scoring that touchdown. There's no other explanation that you can give to say why you don't hand that ball off to Marshawn Lynch, dude.
Yeah, but I do think what I think it is. Let's be honest. Pete Carroll has always been the guy. He's a great coach, phenomenal coach, and he's a player's coach.
Yeah.
But he's that guy who just wants to get one over on you. Who just he thinks he's a little bit too clever.
Right.
I truly think that's what it was. It's like, man, I got Marshawn Lynch in the backfield, but I am too clever. I'm gonna throw this pass play and they'll never see it coming.
And Russell has died on the cross over and over and over again for that. Because listen, no way with Tom Brady, no way with Peyton. I don't even think Josh Allen and none of them would do that. We know Philly running tush push there 3 or 4 times in a row.
Hey, I was about to say Tom Brady would liable to sneak it. I mean, that man has the most sneak touchdowns of all time.
Touchdowns.
Yeah. So, but I think I know we beat this one to death, but he's never lived down that Super Bowl interception.
Yeah.
He's never lived it down. And it wasn't even his fault, with the exception of him creating a scenario to where, I mean, dude, Russ, it was only like first down, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it? First or second down. Dude, get yourself at least one shot with Beast Mode. Beast Mode scoring the first time he touched that ball. Beast Mode was scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it was second down because the first play, Marshawn Lynch took it 7 yards.
Took it to the 2.
Well, let me ask y'all this before we go on. Where's Russell going?
Arizona, Minnesota, Washington.
I would say it's 3 of those. It could be 3 of those. The thing is, man, I tell you what's going to be interesting this year, y'all. This is good. You're going to see more movement this year, this offseason than you have ever seen. I promise you that.
Draft or the just free agency?
Both. Yep.
I agree.
I really think.
I do too. I thought about that the other day. I think this is going to be one of the craziest drafts that we've seen. And primarily because of what Coach was saying. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. You know, I don't know how deep it is. I know it's about at least 3, you know, in Williams and May and Daniels. But it's still some more on there, you know, that, you know.
Well, and there's a lot available that are going to be free agents. Like, that's the key. Like, I'll say this. Out of the 32 picks or how many ever it is, I would not be shocked if the first night on the draft you had 4 trades.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either.
And 6 quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, there is no telling what could happen on draft night.
Yeah, because you got these rookie contracts. So if you need somebody and you don't really have anything in the free agency, but this year you're going to have at least Russ going to be a free agent. Probably Justin Fields is going to be a free agent. I just don't see a situation where they get off of what's the dude named Kyler Murray. I kind of feel like they should, but I don't think they will. We'll see what happens with that. Week 16, for better or for worse, has returned. Who had the best win? Who had the worst loss? What do you say, Coach?
Well, we just got through beating it like a drum, and I'm gonna just go with the loss side first. And that was Denver losing to the Patriots. See, we didn't even factor that in there, that Russell lost to one of the worst teams in the league. But the thing was, he started out fast, scored a touchdown. I see you, dog. Scored a touchdown, and then Denver went dry. And then Denver got down, and Russ does what he normally does, and he brought them back, and then they lost by a field goal.
It's always
But
Brett's fault.
and so I think that the New England loss was a bad loss because it not only was a bad loss for Denver, but it cost the guy to lose his job, who was 25 for 37 for like 230 something, almost 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Pretty decent day. To lose by 3 and you lose your job. So I think the New England defeat over, the Broncos was probably the worst loss that could have taken place this past weekend, just because of all the things that the implications that came with that loss, such as, like I said, Russ getting benched. But I think the best win was the Ravens over the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
And not only over the 49ers, but over the 49ers convincingly, because the 49ers is probably the best team in the league right now.
Was.
So I think that was a great win for the Ravens. Now the only thing that could go bad for the Ravens is don't let that game make you feel superior over the 49ers, because you could be facing them in a Super Bowl.
Most likely.
So, and we all know it's hard to beat a team twice in a season, let alone the 2 top teams playing each other twice, and you're losing twice to that one squad. So I think the best win over the past weekend to me was the Ravens, because they played all around good football, and if they play Saturday this upcoming Sunday, if they play the way they did this past week against the Miami Dolphins, then look for the Ravens to be that team to beat.
Facts. What do you say, Steve?
Well, 2 things I'll start it off with. Maybe I don't know if you'd say best or what do you want to say, but 2 things this guarantees. AFC playoffs goes through Baltimore, which is very, very bad for a lot of teams, and very, very good for the Ravens. Another thing this guarantees is I wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens and the 49ers are in the Super Bowl. These are the best 2 teams in the NFL. And what I'll say is what this win shows: the Ravens are the number 1 team in the NFL. I called this win on last week's show, and I just had a feeling. I thought the Ravens were the better team, and they went out there and showed it. I know Purdy played a bad game, but the Ravens played great. I mean, you can't fault them for winning that much. And wasn't the game in California?
It was in San Francisco.
That's what I thought. So, and it was a beatdown. So, and I think that's the thing. Lamar Jackson is playing. In my opinion, he's the MVP. But here's the best win for me: is those Tampa Bay Buccaneers in another win that I also called. I said the Buccaneers would beat the Jaguars, and they destroyed them.
Here we go. Here we go.
I really think next week the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will wrap up the NFC South just like I called at the beginning of the year. And I will be honest with you guys, Baker Mayfield is playing really good, and his team seems to believe in him. He's probably going to come back next year. He's got weapons. Like I said at the beginning of the year, he had weapons. All he had to do was play, and he's doing that. So I like watching the Buccaneers. I know a lot of people root against them, but I like watching them, this team especially. But worst loss, man, it's funny you said it, Coach Price. I got to agree with you. How do you lose the New England Patriots right now? And they're my team. I was standing in the Wawa on Christmas Eve because that was the only thing left, and I was starving. And I'm telling you, there was 100 people in there. Kept getting these updates that says Patriots, up 23-7. I'm like, the New England Patriots, or is there like another basketball team or something? I was blown away that we were winning. And then I was also blown away, but then not really when I realized we blew the lead and should have lost at the end. I was literally sitting in my room when I first got home, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me, man? This is just true fashion. We blew the game, and somehow we kick a 54-yarder and win." So that is the worst loss of the year because the Patriots are just so bad, and tried to give it to you, especially with the playoffs on the line. That was tragic, but that's all I got on that.
Yeah, you got to talk about the Chiefs loss too.
Yeah.
That was a beatdown.
The Chiefs loss, I mean, God Almighty, man, that's a bad loss, man. And really right now, I have no idea who the Chiefs are at all.
Well, remember I told you, man, when they brought this Taylor Swift thing in here, it was gonna disrupt the locker room, and that's exactly what the media and everything and everyone done was they disrupted the locker room because it's been, I know, 5 years since you heard Patrick Mahomes say anything near close to we'll get it together here soon. Dude, you in week 16. If you ain't got it by now, you ain't getting it.
You probably
You know
ain't
what I mean?
Right.
That's the bottom line. So when you hear him say, when you hear those type phrases, that tells you that this is a team who's went on a run, who's lost some players in the free agency, who's picked up some other players in the draft and free agency, but you're not the same team.
No. But you
and
know
it's
what?
just a matter of time.
It's just, you're right. That's why I say when they lost that game, because really secretly on the down low, I guess as low as I can be, I'm really I really love the Chiefs, man. Because I love Andy Coach Reed, and obviously Pat, but this has not been the quintessential Chiefs. This is a bunch of Indians who can't put it together. So, and so to me, I really don't know what these guys are going to be once the playoffs starts. But man, let's talk about Lamar Jackson. This kid, I'm just saying, man, he had me on a roller coaster. Okay? Because sometimes I'm like, I can't believe in it. And then he'll turn around and do what he did. It's like, who is it? And I was listening to Lamar. He's been in doing his little pressers and things, man. I really love this kid, man. Because think about it. He went through this crazy fiasco trying to get his money. And they act like they was going to ship him. Like, we ain't paying Lamar Jackson. And I was one of the ones who say, I don't know if I would either. But when I see what I saw, then this on Christmas, I guess it was. Or was it Monday night or Christmas? It was Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what he's been really doing all year, how can you not say that he's the best quarterback in the league right now? Who is if he isn't? What do you say, Dalton?
There's nothing else needed to be said. I mean, Lamar Jackson right now is the best quarterback in the NFL. And what I mean by that is I think you have to look at it year by year and what they're doing at this, current moment. As of right now, there are no defenses that haven't figured out against Lamar Jackson. All of his haters have said, "Oh, wait till the end of the game. He'll turn it over. Big game. He'll do this." Well, he just had the biggest game of his, in my opinion, one of the biggest games of his career.
I think so.
on Monday night on Christmas Day, a game that will be talked about for a while. Two best teams in football, and he handled it. I mean, he dominated. So that's the thing. To me, he is on the throne. Pat Mahomes is great. Don't get me wrong. He cries like a little baby, whines a lot. But
Sounds a lot like Brady, don't he?
oh man, watching Mahomes the last 3 weeks, even when they win, has been literally it's been awesome watching him cry like a little girl. And when they lose, oh man, I get out the Bluebell ice cream and I fix me a cup because I think it is hilarious. When he acts like that, I could just imagine, that his voice, like if he had helium, that's what I would imagine it sounding like, I don't know.
You talking about? Hey, listen,
is whining.
you got to be a real serious hater to start imagining the man I can stop on helium.
Hey, I just think he would, sound like a little girl. All that whining he does.
Coach, what you got?
Well, Barry, I'm just gonna put it into a story scenario. And what Lamar Jackson is he's this guy who lives on the snow caps of Wakanda. And everybody said that the purple flower was in Cincinnati, but it was not just in Cincinnati, it was in the AFC North.
Uh-oh.
At the very top of that mountain is a snow panther that T'Challa has talking to.
All right.
And his name is Lamar, Panther of the North, with a dog by the name of Roquan, who guards the castle. So yes, Lamar Jackson right now is QB1, the #1 Panther in Wakanda.
Wow.
And that's where the purple in the uniform comes from, because he right now is the true Panther of the league.
Man,
He's unreal. The way he's playing right now is dynamic.
And man, I'm gonna tell you, man. If Lamar Jackson, I don't know if we've seen his ceiling, if he's hit his ceiling yet or not. I don't think so. I still think he is going to improve some. But man, when he is rolling, he's willing and dealing, dude, he looks a lot better than Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a cuss word, man. But he's so athletic. He is so elusive. He's
definitely more dynamic.
He got to be more dynamic. He might not be as accurate, but the thing that I love about Lamar, and I think is the thing that a lot of people are on the fence about with Lamar, and also the reason why Baltimore wasn't willing to pay him, is because he is not a traditional quarterback, but he is the best at what he does, and it's almost indefensible.
And you know the thing about that too, Barry, is if you watch that game, notice how much he actually stayed in the pocket and passed.
Yeah.
So when you said he's not your traditional quarterback, he's not that on both levels, because he's not just a pocket passer because he can run, but he's not just a runner, he can pocket pass. I mean, what you just described, dude, that's deadly.
It really is, and I like the way you said that. It is. So you can look at this guy from either of those perspectives, and the net of it all is he is a bona fide problem for anybody lining up against him. And now with him having that defense that he has to back him up, these Baltimore Ravens, man, whoo, they something. They serious. I've been sleeping on them all year because I'll be honest. I've been looking at things through the perspective and through the lens, have I always do, is because Lamar doesn't look like what I have always thought it should look like. I'm going to go to sleep on.
Mhm.
Oh, he woke me up when he put them hands on San Francisco 49ers the way they did.
And the thing about it is, old Steve Dalton called it the first of the season on the NFL pregame show. He called Lamar Jackson as MVP and said the Ravens would win the Super Bowl.
Dude, and I thought he was crazy.
Me too.
He's been right a lot. I'm gonna have to go over to Maple Street to eat some of them
And-
biscuits they eat. Because
and,
them things got him going.
and been wrong a lot.
Yeah, that's the funny part about it.
Hey, I think let's just say this. I've gotten some big ones right, but man, I've gotten some little ones wrong.
and sometimes them little ones will kill you. Hey
Yeah.
man, live Purdy, die ugly. And that game he played was very ugly. Is the MVP lost and was he exposed? Dalton.
Well, it's definitely lost. If anybody on the 49ers wins, it's now Christian McCaffrey. And I think that's very possible. I would not be so. Remind me, correct me if I'm wrong. Is there 2 MVPs? Is there one for each league, or is there just one for the NFL?
One.
One.
Okay, so one, and then there's Player of the Years on both sides.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, don't be shocked if it is McCaffrey. I think it's Lamar Jackson, but I don't think he was exposed though. He needs to play better, but the 49ers need to be smarter. Take the ball out of his hands. I mean, I think 2 or 3 of these interceptions came on first down. 2 in the red zone, I believe. Why are you throwing the ball? Run it. I mean, you've got 2 guys that are better than almost anybody in the NFL running. So that's what I would have said. But I think they should live and die by Purdy. But they just need to be smart. There's no reason for him to be throwing the ball this many times. And when you got one of the best teams in offensive lines, use it.
Coach, talk to me.
I think he was exposed. But what he was exposed on is you disguise coverage, you can beat him. Because the Ravens defense was in disguise mode the entire game. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Purdy had to throw a lot because they got down quick.
Uh-oh.
And when it's like I tell the guys that I'm even coaching now. You have to run the ball no matter what. Because if you run the ball, you can throw the ball. But if all you can do is throw the ball, you're going to get your tail beat.
Period.
And that's where they left him. They left him in passing situations almost every possession. And when you put him in that situation, you disguise coverage, all he's got to do is pause for 2 seconds on what his actual, read was going to be. And you've already hit his arm, causing an interception, or you put pressure on him, bad throw. Now he's got to get rid of it quicker because of the pressure, interception. Pull a Pete Carroll out the hat. Let's try to surprise him down here, disguise it on you, interception. So I think what happened was the Ravens played a game of chess with the 49ers and Brock Purdy. Instead of saying, hey, we got to go out here and we got to lock down Debo and get my grandmama chain back. Let Debo go on and ride his bike in his flats. We ain't gonna worry about him. He can squeak all down the field. What we're gonna do is we're gonna disguise and confuse Purdy. let him think this is open, then we close the door. That'll make him look another way.
Yeah.
Then when he looks the other way, we know he's going to McCaffrey. We shut that down. Now he's got to look another way. But it was open from your initial read. It was open from the snap. But now all of a sudden it switched up after the snap, which means all they did was disguise the coverage. And anytime you see something that you've seen for 15 weeks that's been there, and then all of a sudden you see it again and it's always been there, even though this is the play that everybody or the player that everybody's trying to stop, but this has always been there. Well, you go there and the Ravens just switched it up on you.
Well, that's the thing. And I'm glad you said that. Two reasons. I totally agree. Here you are, you got this youngin on a high horse,
Mm-hmm.
and he's rolling, but then coaching shows up. I love when coaching shows up. And a lot of the times we see that in the playoffs. In the playoffs, you see teams that you didn't think that was really good. All of a sudden, they playing much better. That's why they always say regular season and postseason, two different things.
It is.
But the Ravens decided to go ahead and show a little postseason and saying we want that number one seed. See, that is a huge, to me. I have been thinking to myself and watching Purdy and watching Tua, San Francisco and Miami respectively, and I've been saying there's some similarities to these quarterbacks. You know, they both, and these offenses, they're both really fast. They want to get the ball out really quick, and you know, we've been saying all year Miami has struggled on the road, well, playing against teams with, you know, above 500. But this guy, the first game he got with somebody that was physical, and I mean, they were physical, he got exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did Purdy get exposed, the 49ers got exposed. I think that, I mean, I know they lost a few games that they had like a 3-game stretch, and I think Debo was out some games or whatever. And sometimes you lose, right?
Mm.
But, dude, they played against a team and a defense that was so physical. I believe they really said, y'all not better than us. You're not beating us. We're not letting Purdy beat us. And I do believe they would beat, if they played again, they'd beat them again.
Mm-hmm. I can agree. And that's hard to do.
I'd be willing to bet anybody, that if the 49ers play them again and everybody is healthy, 49ers are going to lose again. And listen, here's why I brought up Miami. Because that's who Baltimore plays next.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so guess what?
Same situation.
They about to find out what playing against a defense like Baltimore means. And like I was telling some of the guys in the group, if Tua comes through that, it's time to start talking. If he plays well and he finds a way to scheme that up, you got to give Tua the credit. You got to give McDaniel the credit. Tyreek, whoever's involved in that, but because they're gonna come at Tua.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see this game to see what it's gonna be. But I think this game is going to be, it's gonna be similar to this, in my opinion. I think I like Baltimore, and that's with me thinking that Tyreek is the most dangerous player in there. But I just don't think that I think the Baltimore defense is the edge.
There you go.
You know, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in this one. All right. Check this out. I got my own language, coach.
Hmm.
What in the Jackson who is going home? Okay, that's Indy, Jackson, and Houston, all 8-7.533, three-way tie for first place or second place or third place, however you want to see it. What's going to happen in this division? What do you say, Dalton?
Well, the unfortunate thing is the Colts and Texans play each other. So that's going to knock out probably one of them for sure. And I think what would be real unfortunate is if somehow they tie, it could knock out both of them. You never know. But it does seem like in the AFC though that both, not all three, but maybe both, the number one and number two could get in. Is everything's kind of up in the air in the AFC. It's kind of wild. I wish we could look at the whole group itself. I know Buffalo is one win above them at this group here, but I mean the Chiefs, if they lose two, I mean what could happen? The AFC is just wide open. The Browns at 9-6. I mean, maybe even.
Yeah, we're gonna hit up that playoff picture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this is going to be interesting. The Jaguars have the easiest schedule out of the remaining teams, I believe, but they have a lot of injuries. I mean, so I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm kind of almost wanting to put my money on the Colts because Gardner Minshew's playing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
So I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. It's wide open, just like the rest of the AFC. The AFC is the best division in football, has been for a long time, and it's going to continue that way.
What you got, Coach?
Well, when I sit back and look at this, the first thing that goes through my mind is walking in a convenience store. And I'm going to tell you right now, go ahead and give me 10 on Cash Street for 8 sell more. And then give me 10 more for 533. Because it's very rare you're going to have three teams that are tied all the way across the board. So them numbers, they look too tempting to just want to go out and play, Barry. If you're a guy like me, I got to come out of the store with a ticket. But when I look at this group, I say to myself, a healthy C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans defense could wreak a little havoc and cause them to be able to beat the Colts. But the Jags would literally have to win out.
Well, the Jags has the Panthers and the Titans to end it.
Okay, so the Jags are probably going to win out, which means that's the only team I see in the AFC South to make the playoffs, and that's only because you're a division winner. Kind of like it's going to be in the NFC South, division winner. But nobody else over there is doing anything, and it just, and, you say NFC East, you got Dallas and Philadelphia, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, when it comes to all the other teams that are in the playoffs on the AFC side and the NFC side, only the one division leading South team is the one who's in the playoffs. So I think the Jags, got the easiest road. Titans can, like I said, a healthy Stroud could upset the Texans, but Minshew is playing great. So, the Colts could come out with a win, but even if the Colts or the Texans won that ball game, that's literally putting yourself in a situation where you're having to bet or hope for the appetizer, the dinner, and the dessert just to make the playoffs. And that's a lot to ask for.
Well, the Jaguars got the Carolina Panthers, the MVP Bryce Young next. So you know, they maybe they escape by on that one. Hey guys, name that team. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 situations here, and I want to see if you guys can pick out the name of the team. All right, the first one, left for dead at the pound, but came roaring back.
The
Who
Browns.
is the Browns? What's going on with the Browns, man? Without their starting quarterback, they are kicking butt, man. What are they like? Have they won 10
Well,
games? They should be
It's the
like
Flacco magic.
yeah, put your trust in Flacco. There's this one comedian, y'all. I'll show you the clip after the show. He talks about how, like, there's this accent, in Baltimore, and he talks about how these people are like, yeah, I just don't know about Lamar. I something about Flacco. He makes me feel a little more comfortable. I don't know what it is. Can't put my finger on it, but he makes me feel a little bit more safe. And then now Flacco's, with the Browns of all teams, which is where, if you think about it, where Baltimore Ravens came from. And Joe Flacco is he's playing great. I love it. And honestly, if you think about it, the Browns were already a pretty good team. You take away Deshaun Watson, they were still pretty good. You took away Nick Chubb, still pretty good. Went out and got some good acquisitions. The football team is good. So, and it looks like, Barry, they are one win away from being in the playoffs.
no. I thought they were. What we're going to have to look at that because
I'm pretty sure.
I thought they was already there.
Well, to me,
Well,
Joe,
I'm
Joe
pretty sure they're a
Flacco,
lot.
What you say?
Joe Flacco is the prime example of it's not bad to retire out for a year or two and then come
Yeah.
back. Because the one thing you got to realize is before Joe retired, pressure could bust a pipe.
Mm,
Once Joe retired, he ain't got no pressure on him no more.
there you go.
When you bring him back, guess what Joe still don't have?
Right.
Pressure.
Right.
Because if you say, Joe, it ain't working, he'll be like, shit, I don't care. I'd rather be sitting on the couch right now watching SpongeBob with my daughter.
Well, with my hand on my wife's thigh.
You know what I'm saying? Chilling. So there's no pressure on Joe Flacco.
Right.
Joe Flacco has already made a good bag in his career.
Period.
So what the Browns are doing right now is what you call laid back Joe Flacco.
Mm. It's working.
Yeah, I mean, this guy took an economy flight. Joe Flacco, Super Bowl winning quarterback, took an economy flight to Cleveland to see about this position. Literally 2 days before he took the job, or they signed him, he was on a plane and somebody took a picture of him and said, "Why are you on this flight?" And he said, "You'll read about it in the papers in a couple days." Like, I do agree, Coach. That's a really good point. You'll never see on ESPN. You'll probably only hear at the chopping block. But when you retire, the pressure does come off, and people kind of, doubted Joe Flacco. He's got nothing to prove, but also nothing to lose.
Well,
I mean, he's in the best position you'd ever want to be in.
but you know what? That's going to change real quick. If he starts winning, keeps winning, and get into these playoffs, win a playoff game, and then that old thing gonna kick back in.
What if he goes to the AFC Championship? What would you guys say?
Dude, I'm not counting them out. I'm just telling Coach that when you get into the playoffs and you have a good defense like they do, and he is a veteran, and Coach is saying he's playing a little bit more calm when not everything to lose. They have
he's got a big arm, y'all. Like, he has got a massive arm. And he's got all
Joe Flacco
tools. I mean, Cooper is still going off.
Yeah. But I think Flacco is going to go back into retirement one way or another after the season over with, no matter how far he takes the Browns, because he already knows, and I'm sure if that were the case, he would have done it. But he already knows next year, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, is Deshaun Watson's team because they're paying him too much money to let Joe Flacco come in and start.
But you know
So
what, no, Coach, you say that, but we just got through talking about the situation in Denver with Stidham. If this man takes you deep, they may decide to ship. They may decide to get rid of Sean. Deshaun, just like Denver's getting rid of. You know what they're saying? If I was Deshaun Watson right now, I'll be looking at what's going on with Russell Wilson right now. I'll be looking at that money situation, saying, might they do something to me? I don't know.
if that's the case, then I'm gonna start calling Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson Batman and Robin because they have totally robbed the league.
Yeah, but you know now I don't know how these contracts are set up, but we heard everything about Watson's contract being fully guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean they have to pay him? It has to have some type of clauses in there, right? To where, I mean, I know he has to play, but if they cut him, does he still get all of that money?
If they cut him, then he gets paid like over the next 20 years a certain amount of money to never play football again. He pretty much signed a retire contract.
Wow.
Yeah. And he kind of acts like it. I don't know if y'all noticed, but
Yeah.
you know, when he got hurt, instead of being on the sideline with his teams, he's up there in the booth.
Yeah,
Man,
see, he don't have to play.
I saw that, man, because I saw like a picture that had Joe Burrow versus Watson. Look, man, that's really like nothing. That's nothing.
No, I think that looks bad, Barry. I think that looks bad in the locker room. I think it looks bad in the organization, like, you know, in the front office. I do think it means a little bit. You know, players, there's no reason. It'd be one thing if Deshaun had an injury that prevented him from being on the sidelines, or it was a risk. He don't have that. Joe Burrow, I mean, this man, you know, he's pretty banged up, had surgery. He's out there the next week. I think it shows more about Joe Burrow's leadership mentality, and
Yeah, that's true.
I do think it holds a little bit of weight. I'm not making that big of a deal about it, but I do think it's important.
I do. I do agree. From the optics alone, it has something to it. You know, you wanna how things look. What they say, perception is reality. Sometimes, you know what I mean.
Right.
You know, so yeah. But you know, it's like one of those things to where, to me, when I saw it, it's kind of like it was just too much of politics to me. You know, we don't know what each of them got going on. It's a lot of things behind the scene that we're not privy to. But on face value, one guy is doing everything he should do, and the other guy is like totally checked out. And I don't believe that's what it is, to be honest with you, because before the guy got, remember, it was so weird. Didn't he win a game and then he went and had the surgery?
Mm-hmm.
If y'all remember that, he came back and played. I think he won a game, and then next thing we heard was he gonna be out for the rest of the year with a surgery. But before then, everybody was saying he wasn't hurt, but he really was. You know, so I don't know everything that's going on with that, but I do believe that optics are important. The next one, everyone was raving about us, but the birds stole me gold.
Mm-hmm. That'd be them 49ers.
That beat them 49ers. That beat them 49ers. Hey, you like how I put that raving in there?
Yeah, because you see raving and birds, first thing you're going to say is Baltimore, but you didn't think about the leprechaun in me lucky gold.
In me lucky gold. Hey, guys, we done talked enough about them 49ers in that Raven game, so I'll go to the next one. While y'all were sleeping, we were creeping.
The Bills.
That's not who I had in mind.
Mm.
Because the Bills, the Bills got respect because of Josh Allen. So
True.
we more disappointed in them than them creeping, in my opinion. Even though they on the run. But this is a team I've been sleeping on all year. And then they're here. Who is it?
The Bucks.
That's
No.
what I was thinking at first.
I'm gonna tell you who I'm calling. Who I was thinking about with this. The Rams.
Yeah, you're
That
right.
shows how much they're creeping because we all.
Yeah, cause I was sleeping.
They still creeping. And I can't believe it. I all of a sudden I woke up and the Rams are here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how much noise it's gonna make, guys, but they are here. And right now, when we get to the picture, we'll see what they're doing. The next one. We cry every time we hear that song. Hear the song. On the road again.
I don't know who you might think, but I'm gonna tell you who I think. That'd be them Cowboys.
That beat them Cowboys.
Mhm.
That beat them Cowboys. And guess what? Looks like the Eagles are going to win that division so
Yep.
far, but it's still tight. Cowboys going to have to play in the playoffs on the road. So they better get it together real
Mhm.
fast. And the last but not least, we need to figure out things swiftly.
That'd be them Eagles.
That's a good good guess because you think about Swift, but this is something else.
Oh, that mean them dadgum Chiefs better find out what y'all gonna do with Taylor before she swiftly cause y'all to miss the playoffs.
Facts. Facts.
Man,
Them
if they
Chiefs
miss
need-
the playoffs, imagine the uproar.
the Chief
She let the
needs to
toilet stool
figure.
up.
Hey, look, man. We had, if you remember, Dalton, I had 2 or 3 slides on the Chiefs and Taylor Swift.
Mhm.
And I said that is a bigger problem than people
Mhm.
are leading on. Because I'm gonna tell you, man, really honestly, the ultimate bromance going on was Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And when you bring something, I'm not saying it was nothing romantic between them, but what I'm saying is they had a connection and they had a mutual priority. And when that other thing came in, he started doing this other thing. It disrupted. It disrupted all of that energy, the energy that is usually reserved for the field. They chopped it up and put most of that thing seemingly over there. And now,
You know what I?
go ahead.
You know what I think it is, honest, mostly, and I'm somewhat, I guess you'd say, a Chiefs hater and a Mahomes hater, but what it really is man, the Chiefs wide receivers are so bad. I mean, they are terrible, and Kelsey, there's a lot more pressure on him, a lot more pressure in the locker room, on the field, on the team with the Swift thing. Um, but also, there's a lot more pressure on Mahomes. His offensive line, terrible. They're running the football okay, but it seems like almost any time they need to throw the ball, you don't, it's a penalty here or wide receiver can't catch it. There are a lot of unfortunate things that I think not necessarily Mahomes or Kelsey's fault, but they're definitely feeling the brunt of it. I mean, you saw Kelsey's actions on the sideline this weekend. I mean, if he'd have hit somebody with that helmet, it'd have killed him.
Killed them.
Yeah.
But what it all boils down to is this. Phone call a year ago. Mahomes calls Kelsey. What's up, bro? Oh, nothing. Look, man. She's over here talking about some dish that she want to try and make and want me to help her in the kitchen. I'm gonna tell her that I'm on my way over to your crib so we can study some film on the game Sunday. All right, bro, I'll be here. Mahomes hangs up the phone. Babe, I got to go over to Travis' house real quick. We're going to watch some footage. I thought you were going to help me make this dish. You got it, babe. I'm going to go over here and we're going to watch some footage. And you could easily go to Travis' house, watch the game. Hey, let's run this play on them. Hey, run this move on them. Now,
Right.
conversation 2023. Babe, I want to make this dish. Yeah. Hey, Travis, I was gonna see if I could come over, man. We can watch a little film because she want me to help her make this dish. I can't right now, dude. I got Taylor in the hot tub riding me. That means we're not studying any film together.
No.
So that's the bromance that people don't understand. If I can call you and say, "Hey, B, she getting on my nerves right now. I'm gonna come over and we're gonna work on some videos." I
Right.
could easily say, "Oh, babe, I'm sorry, I can't help you make that dish. Bear want me to help him edit these videos, and I can go."
Right.
But now, what am I gonna do when Barry say, "Oh, I'm married now," and I say, "Oh, babe, I'm gonna go over to Barry's because we're gonna break down some video," and I say, "Hey, dog, I'm on my way over there. Let's break down some video." She getting on my nerve, and Barry says, "Can't right now, dog. Me and my lady sipping on a glass of champagne, sitting in the hot tub. That means we are not editing anything. I'm having to deal with making this dish, and I'm pissed off when I come out the tunnel on Sunday. And guess what? You and I ain't even on the same page because a lot of the plays that Mahomes ran with Travis Kelce were all scramble, whoop-de-doo, magical plays. I'm gonna throw this no look pass like Larry Bird. I know you'll be there. Well, guess what? We're not talking about that now.
Mhm.
Why? Because Kelsey is tied up with his woman. You got to go hang with your wife.
Right. And you know what, man? We saying a whole bunch right now, but the truth of the matter is, like Dalton just said, if them wide receivers, as quote unquote bad as they are, had they caught a few balls, the Chief would be in the running for the number 1 seed right now.
Yep. Yep.
They just they dropped some killer ones, man. Some touchdowns and stuff that just put them behind the 8 ball. And I will say this to wrap this slide. If the Chief does find some kind of way to put something together, they got the defense on offense. This would be the greatest Super Bowl that they ever won.
Yep.
Because everybody is out on the Chiefs.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting to see. All right. This is the prosecutor, defense, and verdict segment back again. This is where we prosecute a statement, defend it, and then we render a verdict on it. Coach, you're gonna prosecute. I'm gonna defend, and Dalton is gonna render the verdict. Okay. The first thing we're gonna prosecute, Coach, the statement. You're gonna prove that Hill is greater than McCaffrey.
All righty. Well, first of all, Your Honor, the reason why I feel that Tyreek Hill is better than McCaffrey is because Tyreek Hill is the X factor for his football team, hands down, whereas McCaffrey has a ton of weapons around him and he's more secure. We sit and we talk about Tua on Tyreek's team as his quarterback compared to Purdy, but there would be no Tua if he couldn't climb the hill.
Hmm.
So I feel that Tyreek Hill is greater than McCaffrey because Tyreek Hill is the only true weapon on the Dolphin squad.
I think that Tyreek Hill is a great weapon, like you said. His speed is unmatched. But the problem that Hill has with McCaffrey is that McCaffrey is fast too. He can come out the backfield, and he can even throw it. He is a Swiss Army knife. And so far this year, he's been relatively healthy, and Hill has been bumped and bruised a little bit more this year. And like you said, McCaffrey is a part of a super system to where at any minute it's death by 1,000 cuts. So I'm taking McCaffrey over Hill because I feel like I can do a lot more with him. Dalton, render your verdict.
Well, to be honest, it's going to be a hung jury. These are the two players that I feel like you can't really compare them. And also, what we've never been able to see, if you think about it, what if Tyreek Hill was used like McCaffrey? Definitely not running through the tackles. I don't mean nothing like that, but used as a running back. I mean, oh my Lord. If you just give him the ball and see what he can do, I mean, could we agree he's probably the fastest player in the NFL?
I think he has to be. There might be some more people out there.
He's got to be close, right? I mean, top 3, top 5.
I mean, there was many times that he was one, but now
so I think it's a hung jury. I think I can't make the argument saying Hill is greater than. I can't say that McCaffrey's less than. So I'm going hung jury here.
Yeah,
that was a Law and Order moment.
Yeah, and I respect that verdict because honestly, the whole time I'm arguing for McCaffrey, I'm thinking to myself, Miami does use Hill that way. They may not hand it off to him, but all of these behind the line passes, screens, and everything, they really use him in that way. And I'm not sure if they have ever let him throw it, but if they did, he'd probably throw a bomb because everybody would be chasing, running up to try to get him. So I do think that's probably a good thing to do is hang that jury. Hey, Coach, Bills will win the East.
I think the Bills will win the East, especially after what may happen to Miami against the Ravens. I think if the Bills they have who left?
The Bills is this the Patriots?
Mm-hmm.
The Bills got the Patriots, and let's see who else they got.
The Dolphins.
Oh,
so that's the reason why the Bills will win the East is because the Dolphins will get beat by the Ravens, the Bills will beat the Patriots, and then they will go ahead and upset and beat the Dolphins because is that game not played in Buffalo?
Where's that game at, Dalton?
Miami.
Oh, well.
Hold on. He looked like he just coming over to my side a little bit.
If you don't mind, Your Honor, I would like to take a minute with my team over here. We're going to say that the Bills win the East if the Ravens beat the Dolphins and somehow Tyreek re-aggravates his ankle and does not play against the Bills in the final game of the season.
Your Honor, when I look at this remaining schedules, these two games that Miami has to play, I think the Ravens are riding very high. It was a humongous win to beat the 49ers. And they're going to have to take a step back because Tyreek and Tua is going to hit them in the mouth. It's going to surprise everybody and shake up the whole league again. because all of these powerhouse teams, your Eagles, your 49ers, Miami, they all at some point has gotten knocked down. And the Ravens are about to get knocked down off that high. It's not going to bother them too much, or maybe it will, because they might be able to lose the number 1 seed. And then Miami takes care of the Bills at home and sets up as a number 1 seed, and everything goes through South Beach. And Miami don't win a Super Bowl, but things does go through South Beach. Your verdict, sir?
Well, the jury will have to say that they can't find any reason to believe that the Dolphins will drop 2 in a row. And I believe both of them would come at home. Also, the jury does agree that the Bills will still be in the playoff. But overall, the jury will agree that the Bills will not win the East.
Okay. The Chiefs are done. Coach.
Well, Your Honor, the Chiefs are. Am I representing saying that they are done?
Yes.
Okay. The Chiefs are done. And this is the reason why. If you ever went to the village and you met the chief in this village, and the chief had no paint on his face, had his feathers on, and invited you inside the teepee, hit the peace pipe, that chief is whooped. And that's what we're seeing in Mahomes and the Chiefs right now is they're whooped because they're the chief with no paint on his face. Now you go into the tent or the teepee with the chief that's got the war paint on his face, bow and arrow on his shoulder, big knife that can gut a cow in 2 seconds. You're not going to test that chief, but that's not what these chiefs are. They are the ones who are sitting in there who want to smoke the peace pipe with you because they don't have no spunk left in them to go out and win a Super Bowl.
Oh, man.
So the Chiefs are done.
Your Honor, the Chiefs are not done. Your Honor, the Chiefs are a two-time Super Bowl winning champion. And Your Honor, they have won the AFC or been in the AFC championship more times than I can even count right now. Your Honor, we recognize our chief, Patrick Mahomes, as the baddest, meanest quarterback since your guy, Thomas Brady. Your Honor, we have to reserve a little bit of, thought that the Chiefs can respond because they are the champion, and we know that if you get a champion in the corner, they can come out and they can win where they have a puncher's chance. And if anybody deserved that, it is the reigning champions. So I'm going to go on record to say that the Chiefs do look done, but it's like cooking a 2-pound porterhouse and you think it's done, but you cut into it and it's still alive. Your Honor, what's your verdict?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the jury they're going to present another hung jury, and I'll tell you why. The reason the jury is hung on this debacle here of the Chiefs is because the Chiefs are done, just not yet. And what we mean by that is, yeah, they'll make the playoffs, but it will be an early exit, and a quick, return back to Kansas City. This is the first year they will be on the road in the playoffs. They've never played a road game since Mahomes has been there. So the jury does agree that they are possibly done, but just not at the time this case was presented to us.
Ravens D is better than every offense. Coach.
The Ravens has had a tradition in Baltimore where defense wins championships. Now, I know that this character that I'm bringing in the courtroom right now may not be the strongest character to be in court, but to argue a defensive case for the Baltimore Ravens, I would have to bring in Mr. Ray Lewis.
Mm.
And the last time someone stood in the same shoes, in the same spot on the field as Mr. Ray Lewis, was a guy named Roquan Smith, who's also one heck of a linebacker in the NFL.
Mm.
So with a guy like him calling the signals, the way a guy like Ray Lewis was calling the signals, and after the performance they put up against clearly one of the best offenses in the NFL and one of the best masterminds in Shanahan in calling and designing plays, and they took them behind the woodshed and they wore their butts out. So if you can stop a high-powered offense such as the 49ers, then your defense is better than any offense that it will face.
Your Honor, I'm going to retract on some things that I said earlier about how bad the Ravens are, meaning how good they are and how dominant they are in the league. I'm going to say that the only way that you can take out a defense as good as the Ravens is to be able to establish a solid run game. Now, even though my quarterback looked very ugly the last game, you have said, Your Honor, that it's hard to beat the same team more than once. Your Honor, I sit here on the Golden State Bridge ready to jump off, but I have Deebo Samuel, Shanahan, McCaffrey, and Kittle, and a whole bunch of people telling me to hold on. So, Your Honor, I am going to hold on, but I'm going to I have a little caveat that I want to say. Your Honor, even though they're telling me to hold on, I'm going to ask for a plea deal. And that plea deal is going to be, no matter how good this offense is, I just can't believe in the quarterback. So, Your Honor, I'm going to ask you to allow me to say that the Ravens defense is better than every other offense, because the only offense I think is good enough to beat the defense has somebody named Purdy, who I think is playing very ugly. Your verdict.
Well, the jury will not accept the plea deal and will side with Reverend Price. And the jury will also recommend a 14-day in-treatment facility for your blues and mental condition.
That's a hell of a judge. That's a hell of a judge.
Boy, is he.
We care about the people here.
All right, guys. Court is adjourned. Is court adjourned?
That's right. I don't got a hammer, damn it, but it's adjourned.
All right. Okay, fellas. Must-win games. At this point, it seems like they all must win. Let's pick these games real quick. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go Seahawks, Bills, Cowboys. Is Stroud playing? Or
I
is he
think
out
he's
for the
back.
year?
I think he's back.
If he's back, Texans, the most stinking Bucks, Kansas City, Ravens.
All right, I'll go next, I guess. Man, this is hard. I'm actually going to go out on a limb here and say the Steelers win. They have been winning every time that I pick against them, so I'm going to pick for them, and they'll lose this week. Wait and see. The Buffalo Bills are going to destroy my Patriots, and I really hope they do. For the sake of the draft and for the sake of the Bills, I want to see the Bills in the playoffs. I think they are dangerous if they get in, which they should get in. But Lions, Cowboys, I'm going to go with the Lions. Every big game the Lions have had this year, they've showed up and they've won. So I think they're going to win another one. Texans will win with or without Stroud. Too much to play for going into the last week of the season. Buccaneers win big over the Saints and wrap up the NFC South. Man, this game right here is a toss-up. I wasn't happy with what I saw from the Bengals last week. I thought that was a must-win from them. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Chiefs. I think they're gonna win this game and wrap up the playoffs. Dolphins and Ravens. There's nothing that makes me think the Dolphins are going to win this game with the Ravens playing as good as they are. I got the Ravens.
So you coach.
All right. Well, as far as a must-win situation, I think this is a must-win for the Steelers. I think it's a must-win for the Bills over the Patriots. I think it's a must-win for the Lions because if you beat the Cowboys, then we know there's a possibility Cowboys are on the road first round of the playoffs and they can't win on the road.
Now you know what, Coach? That 11-4. I think the Lions still have a shot at the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
They do, and if they win this game, it automatically wraps it up for them to get the 2 seed because they would have the head-to-head over the Cowboys.
And that's what matters the most. That's why it's a must-win for the Lions to put them on the road in the playoffs. It's a must-win for the Texans just because of where that division right now is locked at, to figure out what's going to happen with the Jaguars, this coming up weekend for sure. Bucks, it's a must-win for them because what you're trying to do is wrap up the NFC South, which is still a toss-up pretty much to everybody, but Bucks in command of that. So must-win for the Bucks. Chiefs, we can say it's a must-win for them just so that they could get off this skid that's got everybody going crazy. But if there's anybody who want to have a way outside chance of really making the playoffs, depending on what could happen with some of these key matchups this weekend, then it's a must-win for the Bengals. The only way the Bengals is going to have any shot at anything is they have to win this ball game. Chiefs is in a better situation. But as far as the Bengals, we already know it's the famous Charles Barkley phrase, win or go home. And that's where the Bengals are right now, win or go home. As far as the Dolphins and the Ravens, for the Ravens, it means one thing. We're going to assert our dominance in the AFC and in the NFL because of what we just did to the best team in the NFC. We're going to assert our dominance in the AFC. So I look at that game as that's what the Ravens would do. But in order to make a statement that you can go out and beat a dominant defense, then it would be a must-win for the Dolphins.
I agree too. Last thing, fellas, this is just a look. I want to show you guys. Here's what we got right now. On the AFC, Ravens, Dolphins, Chiefs, Jags. See, Dalton, that go your Browns at 10-5. They 10-5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. and then you got your Bills at 9-6, Colts at 8-7, and like you were just saying, there go the Texans and the
Bengals
right behind, even the Steelers.
Even the Steelers, yep. It's a must win for them.
You know, and the Raiders is still even lurking. And believe it or not, so is the Broncos. Okay. On the other side, look at this: 11-4, 11-4, 11-4, guys. The 3 top seeds, 11-4. That's crazy. All right. Then we got the Cowboys, like you just said. That game fits. That Cowboys game is going to Detroit. That's going to be a killer, dude. That
puts them on the road.
These next 2 weeks of football, dude, they about
huge,
crazy. And there go them Bucks. I still think that my Falcons could try to slide in. Don't be surprised if the Falcons don't slide in, because right now your Bucks, they doing this thing. So I will be a New Orleans Saint fan come Sunday. And look, the sleepers and the creepers sitting at the 6th seed. And remember what I said? I actually thought that the Seattle was going to win that division, but 49ers going to win it, the Super Bowl. What if that thing flips? Y'all, them Seahawks, they dangerous. And look, I know they don't have, a real solid quarterback, but neither really does the Browns. And they 10-5. So this has been a year of the backup. And we didn't mention them, but look at the Vikings. The Vikings are still hanging around. Packers, so look, man, these guys are on the bubble. So we got a lot of tightness going on, fellas.
Well, everything that you got, just start at number 6 for the NFC. Okay, we can go, really, we can say 4. We know he's getting closer to the end of his career. We don't know what's going on with the Seahawks.
Right.
So that's Bucks, Rams, Seahawks, Vikings, Packers in good shape, Saints
need a quarterback.
Falcons need quarterbacks.
Yep. And
Bears.
The Bears.
You see what I mean when I say now it's the quarterback rich draft?
Yeah.
Just look at all the teams right now that are outside the bubble on the NFC.
And not just them.
Need quarterbacks.
Not just them. The Broncos, the Raiders.
Yeah, that's the AFC.
Right. Yeah. I'm just going to the other side. But you go to Broncos, Raiders, and Steelers probably need one.
Yep.
I mean, come on. Are y'all still on Pickett? No. You're not. No. And so it's a good, like you said earlier, a good 6-7 teams or more that needs a quarterback. All right, Dalton, take us out.
Hey, we appreciate everybody watching. This has been the NFL show. Always try to do it on Wednesday night. Missing a couple guys tonight, but we didn't miss any action. Love being a part of the NFL show. We hope to bring you a TikTok live show on college football coming up soon. But I think we get more football tomorrow night, loaded with a big weekend. They say Monday Night Football will be played on Saturday night with a big game. So that should be interesting. But these next 2 weeks are the biggest weeks in football and a lot to play for. And we'll cover it right here. This has been the Chopping Block Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us